Hello and welcome to AfriDominion. I am Freeman Singirankabo and thank you so much for tuning into our program today. And for those of you joining us live for the first time, welcome. We are so super excited and thrilled that you can have some time out of your busy schedule to join our conversation today. And those of you guys joining us via television, radio station, or even social media for the very first time, I greet you guys in the name of peace. Come, we are here in peace. We want to say come and join the conversation and make yourself comfortable. And I also want to let you know that we literally have this conversation in truth, the love, and trust. And these are the benchmarks by which you can literally follow every single conversation and our beliefs in what we do. We believe in protecting ourselves, but also protecting those who are voiceless, who don't have the strength, who are weak. Sons and daughters of Africa and African descendants, we are for you, we fight for you. But it doesn't mean that we don't fight for everybody else, but we remember that our descendants, our families at large, we have to be able to protect ourselves, to fight for ourselves before we fight for others. So with that said in mind, guys, wherever it is you are, around the corners of the world, I want to give you a huge welcome and letting you know that we are here to stay, and we want to make sure that you also take that pride, take that pride that you're just not alone in this whole fight for your livelihood, for your freedom, for your humanity at large. And with that in mind, guys, if it is the very first time that you're reaching us out, please, I want you to go to our website, social media, and even phone, social media, website, get in touch with us so that when we're not online, when we're not live, when we're not on TV, when we're not on the radio, you can still get in touch with us. And our main contact should be found on our main website, which is www.afridominion.com. www.afridominion.com. And our main email is info@afridominion.com. info@afridominion.com. And with that in mind, guys, it is a pleasure that you can find that I found this time to come in front of you and say hello, guys, to you guys, as we have so many things going on. So I want to make sure that today we get to share every single moment that you are going to allow me to be in front of you. And I promise you, we are going to be very wise in the way we use the time that you have afforded to every single one of us here. And with that in mind, guys, I have so many things to talk about today. I want to give you greetings. Those of you guys who haven't been around for a minute, we have so many platforms, and I will just randomly just call out those of you guys who are around. I see you, Ifil. I see Justice Dodier. I see Unfortunately. I see Jojo. I see Julie. I see Yusuf. Yusuf, how you doing, my brother? And I see you guys on X. I see you on YouTube. And those of you guys on other platforms, even you on Telegram, I see you guys as well. I'm not going to mention names here today because we just don't have much time. But I do see every single one of you. I see every single one of you here in front of me. Feel free, let's have an interactive conversation. If you want to say something to me, by all means, please do say it, and I will respond in real time. Also, today, as an exception, I will also take live calls. Brief live calls. In case you have something to say, feel free. So please put our live numbers as well so they can be able to see it. For those of you guys who are in a position to call, you can give us a call on +1 240 626 7268. +1 240 626 7268. We receive the calls via Telegram or WhatsApp. So if you are on any one of those two platforms and you feel like you want to give us a holla, definitely I will be able to see and read you in real time. And with that in mind, guys, welcome. How you doing, my brother or my sister? I see you also, Mahmoud. Mahmoud, I greet you, my brother. I see you, Chris. Chris, how are you, my brother? I see you, Janvier. I greet you. And I see you, Hassan. And Noah, how you doing, my brother? Noah, I greet you, every single one of you. I see you, Solange. Greetings, 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 greetings. All of you sons and daughters of Africa, welcome, welcome, welcome. So today I have a very interesting topic that we want to talk about. And I want to make sure that every single one of you guys know it, because our whole conversation is going to be based on, and the topic for the conversation is from long-serving leaders to a United States of Africa pathway to a continental unity. Again, from long-serving leaders to a United States of Africa pathway to a continental unity. Guys, I'm all about unity as Africans. I cannot start this conversation without keeping it real with you guys. First and foremost, you know, we have wars going on, not just on the African continent, but right now the biggest war that's being waged, it's a war between US, Israel, and Iran. And most of you guys who have been following, we see bombs. We see bombs every single day, ever since what? February 28th. We see innocent lives. Innocent lives losing their lives. Innocent life perishing every single day. We see people sleeping on the streets. Guys, I used to think that these wars only take place in Africa. I used to think that the refugees are only in Africa, until Ukraine came along, and then until Iraq came along, and then Afghanistan, and now we see Iran being also in the same bucket. And people are suffering, guys. People are suffering. But from the lenses of us as Africans, how do we see this? And also, how does this affect you and I? Because these things are affecting us. So it is for this reason we cannot talk about our issues without talking about what is happening to Iran. Right now, Iran is one of the nations in the whole world that's affecting every person on planet Earth because of a war that's going on there. You may wonder why. Currently, in case you do not know, Iran is very rich in oil. So they have lots and lots and lots of oil, and this oil is being utilized as a power. Basically, it's helping Iran and the Iranians people having a saying on the global stage. It is also one of the reasons why we have these wars, in addition to these rockets and the missiles. But this war is about oil, is about wealth, is about repositioning who has powers. And Africans, we are watching. We are watching this taking place every single day. I think you guys are watching one of the missiles that had just hit one of the places. I think that may seem like Israel. I'm not sure. But we have bombs, missiles flying back and forth. And by the way, it is illegal right now. They do not even want you to take pictures of any falling bombs, or videos of any falling bombs. A lot of these images are underground, and the pictures are underground, because on the Israel side, you get arrested, and you can potentially have up to 5 years in jail. I can't even imagine where showing a building that had just gotten hit, you basically give yourself a pathway to going to jail in 2026. So, in other words, they do not want you to be informed. It is important that you get the right information so that you make the proper decision for you, for your family, for your community, and for your nations. Without the information, there's no way you're gonna make a proper decision about your life. And one of the tasks of any citizen is to be informative, to participate in what is happening in your nations. Your nations, the affairs in your nations are supposed to be one of the hallmarks of you as a citizen, even as a guest, for you to participate, to make sure that everything that is taking place, you are aware. You are not just blindly doing things without knowing what's happening. So when the government says, do not take any picture because you are going to do A, B, C, D, they're blaming it on security. Guys, in 2026, the police can do what they do and a citizen can take a picture. It is illegal for me to grab my own phone and when I take a picture of me and for you to arrest me. Even in the United Nations Charter, this is illegal. I just want you guys to know that. For those of you who have been belittled or who have been put, they have put the fear in you to not take any pictures, any videos, it's illegal. It's straight out illegal, guys. Go research it, because I always tell you, don't just take for granted everything that we say. Go do a little bit of research as well. It's imperative that you get to know where you stand. Because if someone wants you to make an affirmative decision, they're not going to keep you from using the tools available to do just that. Unless they have something to hide. Unless they don't want you to be properly informed. At which point, the conversation will be different altogether. So, those of you who are literally the casualty, the victims of this war, the U.S. Israeli against Iran, I want to just send my condolences to you. Those of you who have lost your loved ones, our condolences to you guys. Never celebrate when a life is being taken away. I have seen people who are rejoicing over the death of babies, over the death of innocent lives. We have seen pictures of toddlers who have nothing to do with what is happening. A toddler have never chosen to be born in Iran. A toddler has never chosen to be born in Syria. A toddler has never chose to be born in Lebanon, in Lebanese soil. So why would you rejoice when a toddler is being killed? I hope that some of these social media will mind my language. I understand that we're not supposed to use KILL on some of these social medias, but guys, we're keeping it real. If they cut us off, they will just cut us off. But it is not okay to rejoice when somebody's life is being when a life is perishing, and you get to be excited about that. There's nothing exciting about taking a life. And for those of you who have become so desensitized, it is straight out, it's shameful. It's straight out shameful, guys. Without taking any sides, do not be happy whenever someone's life is being taken away. What if it's you? What if it's your brother, your sister? What if it's your wife, your child? Are you going to equally be as excited? I don't think so. You become very excited when one side is dying. Because if you're a fan of one side, you get excited. If they throw in a punch, you're like, yeah, we got him. But what if the shoes are reversed? What's going to happen? So Africans, do not rejoice in these wars. That's just one of my messages as we're starting off. We have so many commentaries. We have so many commentaries, private commentaries, government commentaries, and journalists at large. Everybody has their 2 cents. But one of the things that I want to remind you guys, as Africans, do not rejoice, because tomorrow it may be just Africa. Straight out. I'm keeping it real today. Africa is one of the wealthiest continents on planet Earth. And as you are fully aware, every entity that wishes to colonize Africa, that wishes to take resources from Africa and African countries, they want to take it without you saying, without you giving them permission. Because they don't see Africa as partners. They see Africans as just slaves. They see Africans as just like subhumans. Some of them, they say it publicly. In some of these constitutions, they still do not recognize a black person as a full human being. They see them as a 2/3 of a human being. So I want to lay down the context by which today in 2026, the rhetoric, the viewpoints, you've got to be very careful. So let us not rejoice when someone's life is literally being taken away. Just because you have been given money or you have been say, hey, we will give you a visa, we will give you a job. That job can be lost at any given time. So let that not be you guys. That's my starting point. So now let's move on to the real deal of the conversation of today. we've been cooking this conversation for quite some time. I think since last week, and something happened. We just never got a chance to talk about this. But today I have the opportunity to talk about it, and we may not even finish. But I'm just excited that we can actually have the opportunity to talk about this, guys. And with that in mind, I want to ask that they give me control of my of the mouse so that I can be able to run one of those computer screens. I'm gonna do it in a presentation style because there's so much information and I know we won't be able to finish it all. So we will literally have a 1 hour top conversation. What we do not finish, we would simply just finish it as, some other times. Why? Because this information, it is not for 1 hour, 2 hours, 3 hours. It is a continuous conversation, which I truly believe and I truly hope that it gets to add some value to your life. Literally, if anything, I would love to add value to you by the time this broadcast is over. Which is why any feedback that you give us will be greatly appreciated. Those of you guys following via television, just come online, guys. Pick any one of the platforms online, be it X, be it YouTube, be it Instagram, be it Facebook or TikTok. We're there. Any one of those platforms, if you feel like you want to make a comment and you would love that we literally read out the comment in real time, just join the conversation right now. And be sure to share this conversation as well so that we can be able to get to it. So here we go, guys. So what inspired this conversation before I jump right in it? Africa, man, it's like we are trapped. The type of leadership we have in Africa is a leadership where, to a certain degree, it feels like it's an illusion. You have powers as Africans. However, you still don't have any powers. The power lies within a family, within a small group of people. The power lies with the invisible organizations, invisible forces. And these forces, they will unalive you, they will ruin you, they will destroy you, they will destroy everything about you just to maintain it. And consequently, we literally see Africans as slaves in modern times. And I'm sure that you have heard what they call modern slavery. Most of the Africans, you may be looking fly, you may have beautiful looking clothes, a suit, presentable. But what good is a slave in suit when you cannot do for self? What good is it looking fly when your family, your woman is being raped, when your child can't have any food? What good is it? When you cannot voice your opinion over some discrepancies or over something you do not agree with, what good is it? So we have long-serving leaders today who are part of the issues that we're having as Africans today. Hence, from long-serving leaders to a United States of Africa, how do we attain this unified Africa with these long leaders or long-term leaders? That's what I want to talk to you guys about right now in a nutshell. And I hope you can have a saying in it because I'm expecting as much from you as I'm expecting from everybody else who's going to be in real time having a conversation with us. So, what's going on? First and foremost, I want to make sure that we trying to break it down. So I want to talk about the challenges from long-serving leaders. I also want to see, is it really possible for us to have a United States of Africa? Are there any benefits of us actually feeling that we could be united as one people? Can we share some common defense? Imagine right now, from Senegal all the way to Djibouti, from Cairo all the way to Joburg, if we can secure the entire Africa, not relying on one little small country, but the whole collective, the entire collective as Africans, could we potentially get rid of these Boko Harams? Could we get rid of the jihadists? Could we get rid of these wars? In DRC, for the past 30 years, they've been wars rapes, atrocities of unimaginable. I mean, the atrocities that are in the Democratic Republic of the Congo, they're just out of this world. For more than 30 years, all these atrocities taking place. I don't even think that we have the correct word that can express the horrific that these brothers and sisters have endured up to this very moment. It's beyond genocide. Millions and millions of the Congolese have perished. And they continue to perish up to this very moment. We know it, but we are toothless. We barely can do anything about it. So what is the role of a government in all of this, especially when it comes to the unity of Africans? So these are what I hope will be our guiding points as we move forward, because I really hope that at the end of the day, if you don't get anything at all, at least ask yourself, is it possible to be a part of the unity towards our collective as Africans? Can we unify as one people? Can we unify as one Africa? Because the times that we're living in today requires that we unify ourselves. The United States of America will not be a United States of America from California all the way to Washington, D.C. without any unity there. From Rhode Island all the way down to Florida without any unity. The U.S. will not be the United States of America. Any one of these little small states could easily be picked one after one and be destroyed easily. But because of the unity, when the whole United States speaks, the global community listens. Good or bad, we listen. Case in point right now, what is happening? The United States has never had any need to go to the United Nations to ask for permission to wage a war against Iran. Israel never needed to go to United Nations to get a permission to wage a war. Just because they can, they decided they could do it. Now, can Africa decide to wage a war against any one of the nations outside of Africa today? It's impossible. Not that I'm advocating for it, just for the record, but if any one of the nations were to attack Africa today, can we fight collectively? I doubt it right now. But is it because we can't? Or maybe we're just not unified enough to make that happen? So that's part of what my challenges is going to be as we have this discussion today. And I hope that you can indulge me, and I'll do my very best to make sure that we run this as fast and as quickly as we can. I don't want to rush you, but at the same time, I also want to say that we are also mindful that we are on time. We are on borrowed times. I want to give a huge thanks to the studios, radio stations that are literally broadcasting our signal. It is absolutely of a humbling experience to be in front of you and to be sharing this time with you today, guys. So with that in mind, let's jump right in, guys. So the idea of the United States of Africa. How can we move from understanding today's leadership landscape to envisioning a more unified Africa? Is this even feasible? Is it feasible to want to have a United States of Africa? Can we make that happen? If the idea of having a United States of Africa, it's something that's feasible, what potentially could not cause it to? What is there any impediment that would not allow us to have a United States of Africa? That's one of the opening questions that I would love to ask every single one of you guys. Is it possible that we can have a United States of Africa? Despite the fact that Africa is so big, Africa has so many challenges, left and right, up and down. But despite all of that, can we still have a United States of Africa? Can we still fight for one? Can we still be one? That's one of the things that I want to submit to you, that it's possible that we can have it, even though it's not easy, but I still believe, I truly believe that we can make it happen today. And how is that possible? That's the question that I really want to leave today out of here, finding an answer for it. So I apologize, guys. I am trying to fix my presentation, but my keyboard is acting up a little bit. But I hope it would allow me. It's going to allow me to do what I need to do, because it's not really cooperating. So I hope that it works out for us here today. Okay. Let's see. For some reason, I'm having issues with the I'm having issues with one of my machine that I'm using. So if it doesn't work, I would simply just do the presentation differently, so that we don't waste any time, because the last thing I want to do is to waste your time after you have graciously gave me this moment to hang out with you guys. Okay, so let's see what we can do here. Okay, let's do it differently, because the keyboard here is really not cooperating with me. I am going to rather use it differently. Okay, let's go. So how can we move from understanding today's leadership landscape to envisioning a more unified Africa? Guys, this is a question for every single one of you. I've taken some time to give you my opinion, but I also did some research. This presentation is not just an opinion. I actually took some time to research some of the answers that we are going to be sharing. And with that in mind, I want to make sure that what you are going to read here, some of it is public information. My own opinion, I will let you know that it is my own opinion. Who are the longest serving leaders shaping Africa today? And what does their tenure tell us about the unity? Guys, Africa is filled with a lot of dinosaurs. I used to call them our fathers, but we have fathers, we have mothers. We have leaders in Africa who just won't quit, who just won't go anywhere. Imagine you literally a powerful statesman or stateswoman for 10, 20, 30, 40 plus years. We have many of them like those. And I'm gonna give you at least some of them so you can have an idea. The top 10 longest serving Africans currently. The first one is Theodore Obiang. Second one is Paul Biya. Third one, Yoweri Kaguta Museveni. We have also Denis Sassou Nguesso. These are presidents, by the way. We have Isaiah Afwerki, Ismail Omar Guelleh. We have Paul Kagame. We have Faure Gnassingbé. We have Asane Ouattara. We have Emerson Mnangagwa. And for those of you guys who do not know these people, we will break them down. So, who is Theodore Obiang? He's the president of Equatorial Guinea. That's him right there. He's been in power for 47 stinking years, guys. Oh, excuse me. He's been in power for 47 years. 47 years. He's older than me. He's older than a bunch of us combined. 47 years. Since 1979. And he still doesn't want to get off. His oil in Equatorial Guinea, they're very rich. They have a lot of oil. But when you look on the indexes of the United Nations and a lot of these organizations, it is said that they are poor. How do you become a poor country, or your citizens are poor, when you're so rich in oil, in minerals? Where is that wealth going? I actually have that question to every single one of the African nations. Why is it that an average citizen cannot get a paycheck from oil rig, from any minerals that the governments are extracting? Do you know one of the countries in Africa that used to get a paycheck? Libya. Libyans used to get a paycheck. There was a time that the government would cut a check and send to every single citizen in Libya. Africa, with all the wealth that it has, how is it that we're not getting any paychecks? Because somebody else is taking all that paychecks. The leaders specifically and the sub-leaders, there's so many middlemen and middlewomen who are taking all the resources. That's supposed to be your inheritance. Let's move on to President Paul Biya from Cameroon. As you even can see the image, he's an old man. He's 93 plus years old. He's been in power for 43 years, guys, since 1982. I just don't understand. 40-something years, at least you would imagine that a country would literally be not just developed, like the street will be gold. Like, you know, the simple things would not be a thing. But no, that's not the way it is. Currently, they still struggle. In Cameroon, you know, Cameroon has wars, has all kinds of things happening there. So, and you get to wonder, if these wars are there, how is it that the same person, the same president, still is in charge of the nation? This is something that I want you guys to think about, guys. If a citizen is voting for a person, a statesman or stateswoman, for 40 plus years, and you're still crying of hunger, you're still crying of basic needs, why are they still in power? Maybe we got it wrong, guys. Next one, Yoweri Kaguta Museveni. He's the president of Uganda, guys. He's been in power for 40 years, since 1986. And he still he literally just won another term. He's not ready yet to get off. He's an old man, as you can see. Yet he still wants to run. And I wonder, at what point do they even mentor and say, hey, you know what, we feel like we need to retire. Let's pass the baton to a much younger audience. Let's show them our mistakes. Let's show them where we fell short so that they can keep it moving forward and move on the nations, move on the continent. But unfortunately, that's not how these presidents are running the show. And it's sad. It is literally sad when I see these things like what is happening right now. Museveni, along with few other presidents in Africa, he's changed the constitution a couple times. There's few other presidents who have literally changed the constitution so that they can actually stay in power longer than they're supposed to have been. You cannot change the constitution and claim that the people want you to stay. There's nowhere in a nation of millions and millions and millions of people, you cannot have one competent citizen who can say, you know what, let me continue where you left off. Because I also believe in power sharing. I believe in also passing the baton. Not our Africa. But that's an old thinking, guys. I do not want you to maintain a thought process that we have to accept the status quo. Ugandans, do not accept the status quo. Recognize the great things that Museveni has done, just like all these other old presidents who have been in power for 40 plus years, or even less. But we need to recognize that what happens if the old man passes on tomorrow? And all along you thought that he's the only one capable of running the show. The joke is going to be on all of us. Look at nations like the United States or in Europe. A president cannot literally be in office more than 8 years. There are very special circumstances where a president can be in office more than 8 years, only and only if that president was a vice president. If you are a vice president in the United States, and it so happened that the president of the president passes on, or for whatever reason becomes incapacitated, then you as a vice president, you take on whatever time remains of the presidency, the term remaining, you take it. And then you qualify to run your fresh 2 terms. Which means, let's say, for instance, if you are president and then for whatever reason you become incapacitated, that whole 4 years, if I'm your vice president, I can take it. And then after the 4 years, I qualify to run 8 more years because it wasn't my term. That's the only time in nations like the United States you can have more than 8 years. Anything else outside of that, it's illegal. And it doesn't happen. Now, if they have tried as much as they can to maintain that the system stays this way for about 250 years, what does that suggest about old men like Museveni, old men like Paul Biya, old men like Obiang, who've been in power more than 40 years? Imagine 40 years, that's 10 terms in the United States. 10 terms. Every presidential term is only 4 years. Museveni has literally seen at least, if every president has had 8 years, that means at least he has outlived 5 presidents on presidency who have full terms. 5 presidents. And he's still, only me I can do it. Paul Biya, he has outlived at least 5 presidents. Obiang has at least outlived 5, actually now is not 5 presidents. For Obiang, it is literally 8 presidents. Imagine that, guys. No, 6 presidents, not 8. If everybody has a terms of 8 years. 47, close to 48 years, it's literally a lot of presidents. So Africans, literally, we may think that it's, like, hey, this is our guy. We can only vote this guy. We can only vote that. That is, I don't even think that that's democratic. It may be a version of democracy, but let's face it. Unless you believe in kingdoms, but you give him different names. Or unless a president feels like he is the only qualifying individual who can rule a nation. And then you do whatever you can to impose upon everybody else your rulership. That's got to change, guys. Moving on. Denis Sassou Nguesso of the Republic of the Congo. He's been in power for 39 years. 39 years, guys. And he still is running the show right now. Why? Is it just about power or there's something else? Is it that we have incompetency in the whole entire Republic of the Congo? I don't think so. Maybe they have not mentored other politicians. Maybe nobody else wants to be the president, but I will submit that that's not the case. So all of this, guys, it makes me wonder, at what point do we become truthful to ourselves? When do you get to say, hey, it is not okay that you really need to retire? Become a mentor. Tell us, hey, what we need to do so at least we have good transitions without any wars. That's what I really wish for a lot of these presidents. I would want to see all these old men and women to age without having to flee their country, to age without having to unalive people, to age without causing civil wars. Imagine, guys. In Uganda recently, you saw during the election time, they had a complete internet shutdown. A complete internet shutdown. For what, 2 weeks? It is not even just in Uganda. Now it's becoming a trend. Every time a lot of these African nations have elections, they just cut off everybody else. And they blame it on it's a matter of national security. Guys, I don't understand what we're doing as Africans, but this is really not a way to go in 2026. Moving on, President Isaiah Afwerki of Eritrea. He's been in power for 33 years. 33 years, guys. And I wonder, At what point are they going to let go? In Eritrea, forget about elections, guys. I mean, I guess Africans, we just got we have ways that we rule our nations. But I wonder though, what kind of example are we giving to the Gen Zs, to the Gen Alpha? These are all people who are not gonna be here 10 years, 20 years from now. They'll be gone. It's a shame that you hold on to power until you can't even change your diaper. They literally have to remove you of power when you cannot even rule a nation. Yet you still want to sit on that chair. There's a president that I'm not going to mention the name. I don't know if it was maybe because of being sick or whatever, but he had an accident in front of the cameras. You guys remember? There's an African president who had an accident, a #1 accident, in front of a camera. And by the time the cameraman caught it, it was too late. You could literally see, so embarrassing, a president of a country literally having those accidents that you should have in front of a camera. That clip, it's online. They tried to scrape it off. It still is online even up to this day. Tell me why even up to this moment, he still is a president. Guys, come on. We can do better. If you know that a president is old or is sick or is not able to discharge his duties as a president, guys, vote him out. Don't let it be a family thing or a community thing. No, he's supposed to be a president of the people, a leader of a nation, not a leader of a family, a leader of a small collective. But unfortunately, we are still into this little family feud thing going on. Next, we go to Djibouti. President Ismail Omar Guelleh. He's been in power for 27 years. Look at him. He's an old man as well. Still governing. And he's not ready to go. And I wonder, Djibouti is one of these nations that's been hosting the United States Army the United States forces, let's put it that way. And Djibouti is one of these nations where a lot of these wars, if they need to refuel, if they need planes to take off, or if they need to dock, they say, hey, welcome to our nation. In other words, out of interest of Africans, first and foremost, they're securing the interest of the outsiders. Now, the Djibouti people, the citizens of Djibouti, I don't know how they feel about all of this, but we know from the very few that we read online, they're not okay with it. But the majority have no idea that that's what is happening, because they are also encouraged to never follow politics or anything related to government management. Guys, if you cannot follow someone that should give you taxes to make sure that they're doing a great job for you on your behalf, remember, these are public servants. These are not the people whom you owe some sort of favor. They are servants, guys. Even though they have flipped the script, you see a president and you start shaking. Because you feel like, oh man, if I say the wrong thing, I might get in trouble. They have they literally have a barrage of security. They pass by and you feel like, man, even if I said the wrong word, they may just harm me. They literally have encouraged, they have instilled within ourselves that now they became kings and queens in democracy. You fear them more than they fear you, when it's not supposed to be the case. I see this and I feel sad for our brothers and sisters, our African brothers and sisters. We have Paul Kagame of Rwanda. I'm from Rwanda too, guys, as a disclaimer. This man has been in power officially as a president since the year 2000. But what you do not know, in 1994, when his his political party and his armed party, or the RPF, which is the Rwandan Patriotic Front, it was one of the he was a guerrilla war. He was a warrior. He was leading a guerrilla war. So 1994, he was in the bushes, and then he toppled the government and he became the de facto vice president. Now, because he was very unexperienced back then, he was smart enough not to install himself as a president, but he installed himself as a vice president and as the defense minister. Literally, he ran the country basically in the shadow. The president of during that time, his name is Bizimungu Pasteur, one of the smart guys from what I have heard. But today you wouldn't even know if he exists. Guys, Africa, we are so treacherous to the degree a statesman is so disrespected, to the degree that a nation that he is given his life doesn't even recognize him as a president. That's how today in Rwanda they treat this old man, Pasteur Bizimungu. Regardless whether you agree or disagree with what he has done, a statesman should be respected to a certain degree because he's done a lot of work for the country. Look at it. Here in the United States, again, I give you an example. Take a look at President Obama, ex-President Obama, or President Obama, President Bush, and President Clinton. They still live in the United States. They have not fled the United States. They still enjoy the presidential benefits. Full. They have the security, they have the means to survive, and they also have, like, literally some of the, what would I want to call it? They have those benefits that just because today you're no longer a leader, you're now going to lose, whether someone likes you or not. Because the rule of law here, or at least as we know of it, you cannot just go ahead and erase it overnight. Not our Africa, not our Rwanda. Kagame doesn't even want anybody as far as a leader to be in a position where you could even capture an attention. So Bizimungu, as a statesman, probably doesn't even have the money to do the very basics that he needs to do as a statesman. What we know is that he's on house arrest. He's been on house arrest. He cannot participate politically. He cannot be invited to do the very basics that you would expect from a statesman. That's the Africa that we are literally passing on as a baton to Gen X, Gen Y, Gen Z, Gen Alpha. Especially Gen Zs and Gen Alpha. This is the Africa that they know today. That's being given to them as a model. And I want to say, do not swallow that kind of Africa. Let's move on to Togo. You have Mr. Faure Gnassingbe. He's been in power for 21 years. He took over from his father. Remember, guys, Africa again, man. You might as well call it African kingdom in democracy. A republic that's like a kingdom, like a republic / a democracy / a kingdom. There's nowhere you take off from your father. Remember Kabila Senior and Kabila Son? Like, oh, okay, so who can run this country? Okay, let's give it to the son. In Iran right now, Ayatollah Senior has just been unalived, and Ayatollah Jr. has been immediately installed. Guys, I don't understand how we have this kind of thinking as a people in 2026. Moving on to Cote d'Ivoire, or Ivory Coast. Alassane Ouattara. This man been in power at least for 15 years. At least for 15 years. You can see the man looks very strong. I wonder if he's going to let go of power anytime soon. Now, this whole wandering can be cut short if we decide, like, you know what, you have a term, so, you know, you only want to lead X amount of term and that's it. If we have a United States of Africa, none of these people will be doing that. And that is precisely one of the reasons why a lot of these long-serving leaders do not want the United States of Africa. They want their own version of a United States of Africa. The version that keeps them in power. The version that keeps them, that maintains their prestige. When you know this is public prestige that have become private prestige. I got a problem with that. You have Emerson Mnangagwa of Zimbabwe. He's been in office for 9 years. So actually, he's more of like a model, if I want to put it that way. I say a model as a presidential term limit. I want to be very specific because I know you guys gonna have you're going to give it to me. So 8-9 years, it's pretty okay. Even 10. Let's say that as a president, maybe you get 5-year term and then you get another 5. Get out of there. Whether you've done well or whether you have absolutely have done terrible, after you 10 years, move on. You can stay in politics, you can become a mentor, you can do all kinds of amazing things, but do not try to go and fight with the junior president, with another young person who's trying to go ahead and lead their own nations. Come on, guys, what are we doing? This is one thing up to this day. If I can have a meeting with a lot of these old people that I just mentioned and ask him, what's so special about you that you do not believe, you do not have confidence in any one of you citizens, that they can take over from you and not only do a good job, but do a great job, better than you have done. Because if they don't do a great job, that means that you have failed in mentorship. You cannot tell me that today we have great mentor in Rwanda. You cannot tell me that we have great mentors in Ivory Coast or Cote d'Ivoire. You cannot tell me that we have great mentors in Togo. You cannot tell me that we have great mentors in Guinea, in Cameroon. It's very difficult to say that you have great mentors because all the power has been literally concentrated on a very small group of people who are literally waiting to take over. They don't consider anybody else outside of the collective to even qualify. And the worst part of it, they are willing to unalive people to maintain that power. They are willing to unalive people to maintain the power. Great example in Rwanda, Victoire Ingabire. We don't have a picture of hers. Let me see if I can find it, guys. Victoire is one of the challengers of President Kagame. She's been in prison. She's being tortured. She's been persecuted. There's not once, she has literally experienced it all. She's a mother. She's a grandma. She cannot even leave and step to the airport. She's been an internal prisoner within the country. She's a prisoner in her own nation, guys. All because she said, I think I can do it. I can try to do a great job, better than what you may have done. And that itself made her a threat. That's Rwanda that we have today. I give myself as an example too. Guys, don't get it twisted. Me speaking like this right now, that's because I'm not in Rwanda. Not only that, I've been guaranteed that the minute I land back home, I have a cell waiting for me because I dare to speak up publicly. Listen to what I'm saying, guys. Speaking up equals going to jail. Speaking up equals potentially become unalived. Speaking up equals being completely disowned by your own people, your own families. What type of Africa are we inheriting? And are we also passing on to our children? Why should it be a crime to criticize something you believe you're adding value to, guys? Like, I kid you guys not, I love Rwanda. Like, literally, I love my country. I haven't been here for a minute, but I love it. I've been adopted by the United States. But you know what they say? Home is always home. At any given time today, the US could be like, you kid, man, we're tired of you. Pack your bags. Let's go. Strip me off my citizenship. Strip me off everything that they have given me. Because they can easily remind you that after all, you don't belong here. Straight talk, guys. I'm not sugarcoating anything. So, which is why I keep on saying to all of you, especially Africans who see atrocities being committed, and you know exactly who's committing it, and you know exactly where it has taken place. But because you are here in the United States, or because you are in Europe, or because you are in Asia, in any one of these nations hosting you and your family, and you don't want to speak, because speaking up equals you losing your privileges. Speaking up equals you losing all your benefits there. Guys, I would rather lose those benefits. Because remember, you can even lose them while you are still silent. So let's keep it real, guys. But also, if this nation says, hey, we encourage a democratic upbringing, a democratic environment, why should they be fearful when you criticize something that you genuinely want to see change for the betterment of the entire nation? Not that you're causing any problems. When we speak up, it's, for me, it shows the love that I have. Not just for our brothers and sisters Africans, but also the Rwandese people. But also here in the United States, when I speak up, it's because I really love it. They have adopted me. They have allowed me to speak like this, like a crazy man sometimes. But they listen, and they listen to what we are saying. So why can't we do the same thing to Africa and actually learn how to do that? Especially, we don't have that mentality of our grandpas or our parents. We have our own mindset, guys. So I will put it to you that it's all possible. It is really, really, really all possible, guys. Now, I know that it is time for commercial for our partners. So, because I know that it's a time for commercial, guys, I want to ask that we take about 30 seconds. We take about 30 seconds to go through commercial, and then after that, we can come right back. If that's okay with you guys, indulge me. We will just do that. We'll run a quick commercial, and then we come back because I'm being told that we have to switch over. We have to switch so that we can be able to move on. So if you guys don't mind, please, if you guys don't mind, let's take that quick break, and then after the break, we will come back. Let me give a huge thanks to our technical team who are making this broadcast a reality. I also want to give a huge thanks to the studios and those stations that are literally enabling us to have this conversation live. Guys, I want you to know that it takes a lot of energy. It takes a lot of energy to make a conversation like this a reality. And because of that, I want to be really appreciative of every single one of you who's making this possible. All right. So let's take a quick 30 seconds and we'll be right back. Thank you guys so very much. All right, thank you so much. We are back, we are back. Thank you so very much for those of you joining us. If you're joining us for the very first time, welcome. I am Freeman here at AfriDominion, and we're having a conversation about Africa. Specifically, we're having a conversation that talks about the durations of Africa. We talking about the longest the durations of African leaders who have pretty much outlived everybody, those who have been living for such a long time, and we want you guys to have a saying in it. But not only that, we also want to have a conversation about what we need to do as Africans, because we just can't keep on only talking about things over and over and over, but never get to have a closure. Guys, it is irresponsible for us to to see things taking place in a way that doesn't represent us in the correct way, and we still actually accept it for face value. What am I saying? Some of you may be wondering, because I know there are those of you who haven't really followed the conversation that we were having earlier. We've been talking about so many. These issues are serious. Let me put it that way. And we've been talking about the leaders who've been serving Africa, but they've been the longest serving leader in Africa. But also, we've been talking about what that means when it comes to African unity. This conversation is literally about the unity of Africans, but there are hindrances, such as long-serving leaders, long-term serving leaders, those who self-appoint and they never get to leave. But we have so many other issues as well, which we recognize that we will not be able to cover it in just one conversation, which is one of the reasons why we also have been saying that, hey, because we know this is a conversation that cannot be talked about in 1 hour, in 2 hours. It's something that will be spoken for such a long time. We will just have segments after segments after segments. And this last part for this particular conversation, I want you to imagine in your own country, are there leaders who have been there for a long time? Whether from the very top, if you have a republic from a presidential standpoint or prime minister, all the way to the very bottom. Do you have any presidents? Do you have presidents who have outlived everybody else? Do you have prime ministers who do not believe in relinquish the power? These are your powers as a people. You have allowed them to be there for a specific amount of time, but not to literally take nails and make sure that they pin it on themselves in the chairs that have been given them until the next statesman arrive. And consequently, it's important that we remember that just because you're a leader today, you have been given the trust. You also got to remember you have to also get out of it. But we know that the reality is that a lot of the nations today, they do not necessarily follow those things. They do not necessarily follow what is happening. In fact, or on the contrary, instead of following it, they may actually be a little hostile about it, which is crazy, which is straight out crazy. And it is for this reason I want to let you know that, hey, let's acknowledge what is happening first and foremost. And let's also start talking about, hey, how can we change the situation that we are in the best healthy way possible without shedding any blood, without blames. We know blames will be there, but I believe we have matured. I believe that we have matured to the degree we can have a conversation. We can agree to disagree, but we can respect one another. And I do hope that you would agree with me when it comes to what I'm thinking, because I believe when I say that, I say it in a way that I believe most of you think of what I'm thinking, but you may not be in a position to freely speak like I'm speaking. But I want to acknowledge that I know I wish well, and I believe most of you also you wish well for the rest of our brothers and sisters. So I wish to move on and close this presentation that I had today. Like I said, I already recognize that it's a long presentation, and I'm now going to try to finish it in one take. But at least I want to make sure that we move on forward so that we can be able to have a closure, at least as a starting point. And just a quick recap for those of you who are just tuning in right now. We're talking about, just as we close the conversation, I just wrapped up talking about the 10 longest serving African president. And the first one was Theodore Obiang from Equatorial Guinea. We also had Paul Biya from Cameroon. We had Yoweri Kaguta Museveni in Uganda. We had Denis Sassou Nguesso in the Republic of the Congo. We also had Isaiah Afwerki from Eritrea. We had Ismail Gele from Djibouti. And then we have Paul Kagame from Rwanda. And we had Faure Nasigbe in Togo. And then we also had Alassane Ouattara from Cote d'Ivoire. And last but not the least, we had Emerson Mnangagwa from Zimbabwe. These are the presidents that we were talking about momentarily before we took a short break. And now that we are back, I want to go ahead and trying to finish the presentation so that we can go home. So moving on, the next thing I want you to see, I took the liberty to literally get a whole list of African nations. I want you guys to either take screenshot quickly so you can review it later. By the way, this is a presentation I'm more than happy to give it to you guys for free, because this is information that I believe if we can share it, maybe it can help us actually see something that we may not be seeing otherwise. So the very first 10 president I had just told you guys, as you can see, from 40 plus years all the way to 25. You see number 10 here on my list is Rwanda. Officially speaking, actually, today, this year is going to be 26 years, but Kagame has been in power since 1994. So from 1994 to today, it's technically 32 years. Even though officially he became a president officially in the year 2000. Before that, he was vice president. So I just want to make sure that that's understood. We did talk about Togo, Cote d'Ivoire, South Sudan, Egypt. Look at these guys. The second list of president, it literally goes right down quickly from 40s to the high 20s, all the way to the lower 20s. Now we have 10s, 15 years, 14 years, 11 years, 9 years. It goes down to a little bit of more manageable years. For instance, like in Angola, Lorenzo as the president, he's been there for 8 years. 8 years is the maximum a United States president is in office. A combined 2 terms, 4 years and 4 years. He's already outlasted the president. He's almost 8 years and 5 months. Look at Zimbabwe. We had just talked about Emerson Mnangagwa. Then we have South Africa, 8 years as well. We have the Democratic Republic of the Congo, 7 years. Let's go down to Tanzania, 4 years. Mama Samia, she just completed her 4 years. Basically, Mama Samia is like a role model, presidential term, if you want to call it. She actually just won for re-election. So really, she's on track. And in Tanzania, they actually have been very consistent in Tanzania in terms of leadership. They don't fight. Presidents don't be fighting. When it's their term, they give up. They pass on. I want to give a huge congrats to the Congolese people. They also, you realize that Tshisekedi was the president. He peacefully went in power. Before that, it was Joseph Kabila. Kabila, regardless of what he's done as a president, he literally relinquished the power. Whether he did it willingly or not, bottom line, he gave up the power instead of actually deciding to hold on to it, even though he was there for a lot of years before. But eventually he accepted to give up the power, which I think it's going to usher a new era of leaders who actually now understand that, hey, the power doesn't belong to me. It's the people's power. You earn it, you get it. And hopefully we can now move on to earning the power, not taking it, not rigging it, etc. Moving on, guys. Now from the 30s all the way to the 54 countries, as you can see now, everybody now, a lot of these nations, they have very, very young presidents. Now you have about 4 years now, from Chad going down all the way to Guinea, and then Kenya. Ruto has been in power for about 3 years and 6 months. Burkina Faso, our brother Ibrahim Traore, 3 years. Hassan in Somalia, in Niger also, in Niger about 2 years, in Gabon 2 years. You won't believe, guys, we still have presidents who are only about 5 months. You're gonna see it in a little bit of time. Nigeria about 2 years only. Liberia, same thing. Moving on down all the way to Ghana. John Mahama, he literally just finished 1 year as a president. Malawi, 1 year. Now look at Madagascar, guys. They still have a fresh president. Seychelles, fresh president. Guinea-Bissau, fresh president. In other words, out of the 54 nations, African nations, the majority of these presidents are very fresh, with the exception of the top 10. The top 10, or let's make them top 12. They are in their 20s. From 40 all the way to 25 and 22 and so on like that. But everybody else has been in power less than, the more manageable, 8 years, 9 years, 10 years, etc. And I think most of us, we okay with 10 years. If you're president for 10 years, I believe you should be looking for an exit strategy where you are still loved. You can still be asked to go consult, to share your wisdom, things that you've seen in power that can actually be fruitful to the next leader that you pass your baton to. So how this 10-year hinder continental unity? I want to talk briefly about that. Some specific ways long tenures of African leaders create barriers to a continental unity. Remember, guys, when we talk about unity, the unity doesn't just happen. It is the people. The people make this unity a reality. Without the people, none of this matters, guys. So because of the long duration in tenure, there's a resistance. Themselves, they do not want to get off power. Like right now, Paul Kagame, the president of Rwanda, he may sugarcoat it. He may just, recently you saw that he said, you know what, he for the lack of better word, he said that if you act dumb, you are not going to be held responsible. Listen, literally in a recent interview, he said something in those lines. I'm not quoting him. He was like, if you act dumb, basically, you won't be responsible. One of these journalists had asked him if Rwandese forces are in the DRC. And he said, I don't know. And then the man was like, how is it that you are the commander-in-chief of the whole entire army in a nation, and you have no idea what is happening with your army? And he said, there are a lot of things that I don't know. I mean, he was truthful. But later on, he said, hey, you have to be clever when you're being interviewed by these journalists. Meaning, he misled. He purposely gave that answer because he, at some point, didn't want to be liable. Now, imagine you having to be crafty to the degree where you know exactly what language to use, so that at some point, if some of these leaders decide to hold it against you, it won't hold up in a court. So you're no longer thinking about the people, you're thinking about your own survival. So long-serving leaders often view any transfer of authority to continental institutions. For instance, like the African Union. African Union is one of the weakest organizations that Africa knows today. It is very weak. It is literally like a toothless lion. They talk a lot, but the actions are almost zero. Now, when you look at institutions like African Union, Kagame will not concede and be like, you know what, I'm relinquishing my powers to you. Museveni is not gonna give his power to the African Union. Paul Biya is not going to give his power to the African Union. Definitely Theodore is not going to give his power to the African Union. The man is almost 50 on power. The same thing Mugabe. Mugabe did not want to give up his power. He died in office, if you guys can recall. Second, they personalize rule over institution loyalty. Basically, they want to be they have personal rulers. They want to personalize everything. And forgetting that the institution should be more powerful than a person. Again, I want to take an example, Rwanda as an example. Kagame, he personalizes everything. You are going to see Rwanda has the highest numbers of women in parliament, toothless women. Rwanda has enough male in the parliament, toothless. All the power is consolidated to Kagame and the very few, very few people who run the whole entire Rwanda. Everybody is a yes man. Yes sir, yes sir, yes sir, yes sir. And that's not leadership, guys. Especially you Gen Z. That is not leadership. Power is concentrated around individual leader rather than strong independent institution. That's Rwanda. The power is concentrated around Kagame and his very chosen group of people. They are reluctant to support supranational bodies that could impose rules and oversight on them. We also have weak enforcement on African Union democratic norms. Leaders with decades in power, like we were saying, have little incentives to enforce African charter on democracy. Guys, even I think we are abusing this word democracy. Literally, every leader, every politician is democratic this, democratic that, democratic this, democratic that. Elections are literally belittled. Elections are not respected in most of the Africans. It's almost like a theatrical play for the moment. Where is around? Have you seen where they have election, they cut off TV, they limit what goes on the radio, they absolutely chop off the internet. Where airs especially except in Africa? Have you seen that? Guys, this is of a concern. Straight up. Anytime a government is afraid of controlling the narrative, and then they end up saying, hey, we're just going to completely pull the plug. What are they saying about the communication? If they cannot trust that they have responsible people who can be as responsible as when they are not during those very explicit and intense times, that means they have failed. They have failed to educate the people. They have failed to give the proper instructions, the proper examples of what it is to be democratic, of what it is to be a leader in the open, of what it is to be transparent, and so on. Peer review mechanism and sanctions against unconstitutional changes remain selectively applied. Guys, we have United Nations peer review. We also have African Union peer review, all of which are toothless when it comes to African leaders and global leaders. But specifically right now, I'm literally focused on African brothers and sisters. And we have the Good Old Boys Club, the AU, the formation of African Union, also known as the All Boys Club. Because until recently, Madam Johnson, who was one of the female president, and Mama Samia today, only Africa has had only maybe just a handful of presidents who happen to be females. It is almost like a lucky thing to see a woman in African politics, especially who hold such a high office like a president or prime minister. So long tenure presidents protect each other's interests through this little good all boys club. The block reforms that would actually introduce binding term limits, stronger anti-corruption measures, or even mandatory power sharing on the continental level, because they know they will not be able to maintain power if they go along with those policies, so they do not allow them to come. So basically, they advance their personal interest at the expense of the continental interest, let alone the national interest. Prioritizations of regime survival over regional integration. Guys, classic example in Rwanda. The RPF, which is the Rwandan Patriotic Front, is the leading party in Rwanda, has literally consolidated all the powers for themselves. You have other political powers or other political parties. They're powerless, they're toothless political parties in Rwanda. On papers, they exist, but they are absolutely toothless. They do not challenge the status quo. They do not challenge the ruling party. They do not challenge the leaders. They do not challenge anything. And the worst part of it, most of them do not read. I'm not literally disrespecting them. I can give examples. They don't follow foreign policies. They don't follow regional policies. They're just there. What kind of a leader are you when you cannot follow the regional affairs? When you cannot follow the continental affairs? When you have no single clue what the international affairs of the day are and how that actually applies or how it impacts their job as politician to the nation level or on the continental level. Those are the kind of people we have in powers right now. So resources and political capital are spent maintaining domestic control, meaning you can have like soldiers, security, all over one guy, all over a very few group of people. You have all these patronage networks. You make sure that anywhere you pass by, you are being worshipped. And then last but not least, you got media suppression, guys. Again, examples are endless. African nations, these governments, they have mastered how to suppress media. Not only they are afraid, but they get to the point they just literally disconnect the plug. They unplug you. It is easier to unplug than to even give you even a little breather. That is undemocratic, number one, but that is also, two, disrespect of the people who gave you the same power. You get to the point you get disrespected as a people that you are children, you cannot even govern yourselves to the degree you can choose whether something is good or bad for you. That's the degree by which a lot of these politicians see you, especially older politicians. They disrespect their own people, big time. So, resources and political capitals are spent maintaining domestic controls rather than investing in cross-border infrastructure, joint defenses, or economic harmonization. Guys, I don't know if you have heard, recently, right after Rwanda was actually sanctioned, they have been trying to put together a national defense university. One, as a response, because they cannot go study abroad when they are sanctioned, but also two, they realizing like, hey, we can actually add value if we set up a university, an African university where we can maybe share some knowledge militarily, and and all these Africans can come and study here. That's theory. That might be great. That is a fantastic idea. Africa should have its own universities when it comes to defense, when it comes to agriculture, when it comes to economy, where regardless of what country you're coming from, you can go to school there. I support that idea, but I do not support how it gets to be implemented and the reasons behind why it becomes implemented. You have suspicions and mistrust towards neighbors, guys, with different systems. That is one thing that's literally killing Africa today. Oh man, I have a few minutes only, guys. Again, when I get excited, I get to be told, wrap it up. Guys, I only have 2 minutes left. 2 minutes left before I wrap up this conversation. So allow me, guys. Allow me to first and foremost, just wrap it up saying that the United States of Africa, it's a reality today. It is still in its infancy stage within ourselves, but it's possible. We can do it, guys. I know we can do it. I believe that we can do it. Personally, I'm a believer that we can make that happen. Because that I know to be true. I will want you guys to also to see that what I believe to be true is the case. Which is why I want to call upon every single one of you, brothers and sisters within Africa. We can do it, guys. The US is not gonna do it for you. UK is not going to do it for you. France is not going to do it for you. China is not gonna do it for you. We and only us are going to do it for ourselves. And I would want to end this presentation letting you know that unless we burden ourselves with doing this ourselves, nobody else is gonna be able to do it for us. And I would hope and pray that you will find it so valuable that you participate in actually adding value to your brothers and sisters all over Africa. Make sure that we share the burden of actually making a better Africa on the leadership side, on business side, on economic side, on security side, all the sectors that require your attention and my attention. I would hope that we can join forces and do it together. Guys, I will finish the rest of the presentation, some other points. I want to give you a huge thanks. I want to give a huge thanks to the studios that are helping us with the images and the audio. Those of you who give us airtime on different platforms, on your uplinks, we are so grateful. I also want to give thanks to the technical team who are making this broadcast a reality, guys. Without you guys, we won't be able to get any of this work done. And I know that it takes a lot. It takes a lot of work to put together this type of production. And for that, I am truly grateful, guys. And I'm very humble for the opportunity to be in front of you and present. Until I see you guys next time, I am Freeman Singirankabo here at AfriDominion. Have yourself a beautiful day. I want to wish you a good night. Those of you who are going to bed, if you're just waking up, I want to wish you a beautiful morning. And those of you who are on the United States side, I want to wish you a super fantastic days. Until I see you next time, be well, stay well, and may peace be with you guys. So long for now.